Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have a little bit more Xbox news to go and wind down the night, where we're actually going and seeing more news when it comes to the FTC, when it goes and talks about the fact of Xbox and their prior basically actions have kind of drawn a lot of bad skepticism when it comes to these really big government bodies, such as like the CMA or the FTC, and they're basically trying their best to go and say like, hey, we've actually done a lot of really bad things in the past, and we want to make sure you don't do this again. So we're going to go talk about this, talk about some even more Xbox drama, because if you guys missed my video earlier on today, there's even more bigger drama when it came to Xbox actually raising their prices and as well raising the prices of Game Pass. And so far these past few days, there's been a lot of really big media storms kind of insulting and, well, taking down and critiquing Xbox itself. Now, as a reminder, I'm not usually too much of a PlayStation or Xbox fan, but we skew a little bit on the PlayStation news on the channel, but overall I do kind of feel like it's kind of a crazy thing just to talk about, and I just like drama because I'm a drama fiend. So either way, also, if you guys want me to go make a little more controversial words, I'm just excited to go play some Final Fantasy 16 tomorrow. So if you guys are excited for that, you guys are going to go pick up the game yourselves. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on before we do dive in the video. Give me your thoughts and comments down below. We do have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below, though I'm not streaming today. I'm just kind of hanging out and chilling. And of course, the Amazon links, and let's go and dive into the video itself. So as I mentioned, we have been seeing a lot of big drama when it comes to, if you guys missed the video yesterday, we were talking about the fact of basically PlayStation was attempted to be taken out by Xbox. There was a really big leak when it came to Xbox officials and basically higher ups talking about the fact that they want to go and use these acquisitions to try their best and take out PlayStation the best they can. Basically more so leaning towards the fact that they want to like basically spend as much money as they can and make Sony as small as possible. And this also kind of leads into really bad leaks, because we're now still trying to see the FTC, the American government, and a few select countries to see if they will actually even approve this really big Activision merger. But right now they're basically more so using actual evidence on prior acquisitions that have already happened, basically trying their best to be like, hey, yo, like you are saying this Xbox, you're saying you're going to be like playing chill and being nice and being a good vibe or whatever it might be, and offering these 10-year deals and contracts and all that, but when you did this on prior games and prior acquisitions, you didn't even care, which is kind of a pretty big thing to go and note, because, well, it's true. It's just they had a chance to go buy out certain games, such as, let's say, Redfall, or the various types of games, too, as well in the Bethesda future games. Rightfully so, though, they did go and spend the money, and I'm not saying that Xbox should not be able to. Sorry, a little burp. But when it comes to that stuff, it's like, hey, well, guess what? You want to go and say we're going to be playing nice for everyone, just trust us, but after you did some prior things, it never actually happened. Once again, I'm actually kind of maybe at this point kind of more for Xbox getting the acquisition, as long as I don't go too crazy, because it is good for consumers like us, but it's a valid critique. So the FTC is saying Xbox is making Starfield and Redfall exclusive as a powerful evidence against the Activision Blizzard merger. Maybe not necessarily so much on Redfall because that game flopped, but Starfield itself is probably a good example. So the FTC says concerns about infuriating gamers wasn't enough to keep Starfield on a multi-platform, which is also funny because we even covered the news how some random gamers were trying to make a actual campaign and basically like a huge, I don't know, just like a little protest kind of against Xbox to go make the game on PlayStation. Although when we covered that news on the channel, it did seem a little more like a meme, if anything. But funny enough, if you're the government and you see even if it's a meme signature and people get like 15, 20, 30, 50,000 signatures, even as a joke, that does add a little bit of merit. So just saying. So Microsoft's actions following its acquisition of ZeniMax and Bethesda, two separate acquisitions, is powerful evidence in favor of preventing the company's purchase of Activision Blizzard, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, said in a brand new filing ahead of the upcoming showdown over the agency's request for a preliminary injunction. If you guys are also just haven't been following the news, they basically want to have a preliminary injunction to basically speed up the court case to know if it's either going to go through or not go through. They just want to know. They want to sit there and be like, hey, can we finally go get this deal going? Can we stop spending money on lawyers? Because if it doesn't go through in America, it's probably not going to want to be pushed in the first place, because America is a huge, huge market for Xbox, especially, and Microsoft as an American company it would be really weird to spend $70 billion to go and, well, not be able to go and service their own country. But basically the FTC is saying like, hey, based on the prior evidence we've seen already, you guys did not go and hold up some like very good just bargains for everyone else, and basically people are judging them. They're like, hey, like you just didn't do what you are saying you want to do, so if you wanted to do in the first place, you would have done it in your prior acquisitions. So last week, the FTC requested a restraining order, temporarily blocking the $68.7 billion deal ahead of a hearing beginning on June 22nd. Leading up to this week's hearing, Microsoft, Activision, and the FTC were able to submit opinions on the matter. In the FTC's document, the agency pointed to Microsoft's willingness to make games Xbox exclusive in its argument against the acquisition. Defendants put great stock in Microsoft's concerns about infuriating gamers as if it were to foreclose rivals' access to Activision content. But those same concerns did not stop the ZeniMax decision. So defendants put great stock in Microsoft's concerns about infuriating gamers if it were to foreclose rivals' access to Activision content. But those same concerns did not stop the ZeniMax decision, the opinion reads in part. So don't forget, this is not like final say. This is basically just kind of arguing big legal court stuff, and will be like basically just ripped apart and like basically responded to on individual basis. It's really hardcore on both legal parties. It's what lawyers do and why the process takes so long. Microsoft announced plans to acquire ZeniMax and its portfolio of studios in 2020. Following the deal's closure, we've seen Xbox games like last month's Redfall and the upcoming Starfield become Xbox exclusive. We've heard that Microsoft canceled then a PlayStation 5 version of Redfall, pivoting instead to Xbox console exclusivity and Game Pass. And we did go and talk about this before too as well, because as we go and we see this, and we mention this, it's an intriguing thing. It's a very, very intriguing thing because they literally went and spent all this money on top of this stuff. They wanted to go and make sure that they're going to get their money's worth, which I think is fine because they spent $10 billion to make sure they have Bethesda. But at the same time, once again, they're trying to spend $70 billion. They almost kind of hurt themselves in basically how they kind of acted somewhat selfish. Because if they would have been like, yeah, we'll put Starfield on every console. Like, we know you guys love Bethesda games on PlayStation. We'll take a cut, and maybe like PlayStation has to pay an extra money or a higher fee or whatever it might be. But I'm sure PlayStation was like, yeah, sure, we'll go pay a 5% commission rather than 2.5% or just random numbers. I'm sure they would have been like, yeah, sure, why not? We'll still make money off it. We want to have it before. It's fine. Like, it's true, whatever, it's fine. But because of their prior actions, especially on Redfall, which is funny because Redfall was a flop, so if anything, they should have gave that to PlayStation as a freebie, in all honesty. Imagine this, like, what if they gave it to PlayStation, they had to deal with a bunch of refunds and, like, chargebacks, and basically, like, made PlayStation lose money because the game was so mediocre. Now, that'd be kind of a really crazy, like, big brain move, but, I mean, in theory, that would have been funny. But, just as you guys said, and I had showed you guys, like, they just basically didn't go and actually allow the exclusivities on PlayStation. So that just kind of shows that the whole government's like, well, if you didn't do it then, why are you trying to do it now? You're just trying to butter people up. What about after that 10-year contract deal? Well, then guess what? Who cares? So the statement from the FTC argues that the precedent set by the Bethesda acquisition means Microsoft can make Activision Blizzard games exclusive to Xbox platforms, despite Microsoft's persistent attempts to sign the 10-year commitment for Call of Duty. The filing goes on to argue that the deal may substantially lessen competition in high-performance consoles and all consoles as well. And it also addresses the Switch, arguing that Nintendo's console should not even be compared to the Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5, while citing an expert who claimed that even if the Switch were included in the market, the likely anti-competitive effects of the proposed acquisition are the same as in the high-performance console market. Speaking of Call of Duty, Activision's juggernaut came up elsewhere in the FTC's document. The FTC said that Microsoft and Activision Blizzard's side badly assert that most PlayStation gamers do not play Call of Duty at all. And if you guys do remember, we did go and see quite a few different surveys, and people mentioned that a lot of very large majority of folks play Call of Duty on PlayStation. It's one of the bigger games out there and one of the biggest games on PlayStation. So once again, they're kind of trying to push out these argumentative sides that aren't necessarily really that true. And as well, it doesn't really add that much merit at the end of the day. So the FTC's reasoning for disputing the popularity of Call of Duty on PlayStation is actually even redacted from the released version of these documents that they're trying to go put out in the court. Like right now, they're also even hiding a lot of different types of documents too as well, and it's kind of crazy to go and see. Because right now there's a lot of stuff hidden that I'm sure I would love to go and read because I would love to go make videos on it. So Microsoft's battle to get the Activision Blizzard deal has dragged on for more than a year so far. I'm in opposition from both the FTC, which is the same court right now, calling them out and being like, hey, yo, you guys have set bad precedents on prior games. What do you expect is going to happen? As well as also the UK's Competition and Markets Authority. So right now they're still trying to go and appeal the process, although Europe did approve it, but the CMA is still a big deal because the UK is a big market, and although they might be able to go and still go with the acquisition and just kind of avoid the UK, the bigger issue is that the United States is a way bigger market. People in America spend money. Microsoft is based here. And there is no way Activision will be going through in general if we do not have the American and UK markets, at least in my opinion. So the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal needs to be closed by July 18th, or the parties will need to renegotiate, and we'll have to go and see how that plays on out. I guess that point actually might be good, though, for Xbox, because it does seem like the stock market has gone a decent bit since the bull run of around 1 or 2 years ago. But also, as well, they may just want to have maybe leverage on either a PlayStation deal, or on top of that, maybe the markets just won't even allow it. So I want to hear your thoughts and comments, because this is actually kind of spicy over here, because it does seem like the government's actually mad at Xbox. And as well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. Enjoy the little late night video. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. And I appreciate you guys also watching. Give me your thoughts and comments down below.